So once you have finished creating your Google Slides presentation using the Pear Deck add-on, which I'll talk about in another video, you're going to want to actually go to Pear Deck to present. So you go to peardeck.com, and I've already logged in under the same account that I used to create the Google Slides, and you can see it shows up right here. So then I'm going to click on it, and I want to start presenting. Edit in Google Slides will just bring you back into your Google Slides. So I'm going to click Start Presenting, and I have already created a session, and it was kind of a goof up, so I said test session. So I'm going to start a new session. So you can have several different sessions. If you have, obviously you have a morning class and an afternoon class, you can do AM session, PM session. If you want to do different sessions for different groups, you can do it that way too. So I'm going to start a new session anyway. And then it's going to pop up this code. And this is what you're going to want to show the students. So when this pops up we're just going to assume that this computer is going to be the one that I'm plugging into my smartboard or projector. And so this is the screen the students will see. So I'm not going to want to open the teacher dashboard because that will show all the student responses and that will remove the privacy. Invite class, if you wanted this to be an assignment for homework or something that they do, on their own time when they've finished an assignment, you can invite it into the Google Classroom and then they will automatically have a link. Same thing for giving students a link. This just could be if you want to upload the link into an email or into your website, or you can put that link into the Google Classroom as well. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to go join the class, and it'll show you what it looks like when students join. Okay, so on the presenter laptop that is being shown to all of the students, this is what will show up after the students have joined. So I just joined the class so you can see what will show up on the presentation screen. Each individual students will look different, and I'm making a video that will show you what the student screen looks like compared to the teacher, the presentation screen. So as I go through, there's a couple things so you can know if you want students. Over here, there's the 3 dots. 3 dots are always kind of your clue that there's more information. So if you click on that, it will tell you, okay, I want to make it full screen. That's kind of handy. And then the open dashboard, now that in order to get that, it is premium, and we'll talk about if we want to get any type of, any licenses, licenses, we can do that. And turn on student pace. So if this is like individual and you want students to do it on their own time, that's handy because they can go back and forth among the slides freely. Otherwise, they are stuck on the screen that you show them. So right now, they can't go back, they can't go forward, they're stuck looking at this screen. So that's kind of handy if you want them to stay on task. So that's student pace, which is nice if you want them doing it on their own. And then obviously end the session. So turning on student pace, I would use if you're having them do group projects. So you can see on here, the lesson objective, I need to fix that. They're going to create a meal plan for 2 residents using guidelines and choose myplate.gov. Most people know with the blue and the underline that is a link. So when they click on that, it is going to bring them to a website that I have put in for them. So this is a website that is going to be information for them to use during this, this project. Okay, so then when I go to the next response, it will automatically bring them to this slide. And when it's on this slide, the show responses, I can do that for everyone. Then in the whole class can see everyone's responses. If it's something you're doing as a whole class, that's kind of nice sometimes to go through and see how people answered. So 2 things you already know about myplate.gov. Now this is a slide that is pre-made. I obviously put my own text up there, and I have my own design layout, but these are some things that they're already kind of made for you. You just have to put in your words, and I'll show you some that I've created on my own or I've changed. Okay, now lock screens is nice. So when students are typing, you can say, all right, students, in 5 seconds, I'm going to lock the screens and they won't be able to write anymore. And that kind of keeps them from messing around or from writing past your point, and you say, okay, we need to move on. So you've got 1 minute. you lock the screens, they can no longer write. And I will show you what that looks like on a student device in another video. So essentially it tells them your screens are locked. And they're like, oh, wait. Okay, you also want to let them know that you can see all of the things they are writing. So they might think they're being really silly because they think, oh, this is anonymous. No one knows it's me. Well, you do. And so just either you can tell them or not, but let them know, I know that you're, so-and-so is writing silly things and not taking this seriously or messing around or kind of ruining it for people. And so you have a little bit of control that way and you can let them know, that they're messing around. So you can unlock screens and then go ahead and move to the next one. Okay, so now I went ahead and typed in an answer. So if you want the entire class to see all of the responses, you just click on Show Responses. And there's several different ways you can show them. Over here, you have a list layout. So the list layout, then I would keep scrolling down and I would see, as I go through. The grid layout is if you want a snapshot of everyone's, you can't see them as well, but if you want to see everybody's, and then you can, zoom in on that one by clicking it. The overlaid layout is more specific to certain questions. So I will get to that. That would lay everybody's answers on top of each other. So I will show you that when we get to a question that pertains to that one. So I'm going to go through then, and I'm going to hide responses, and I'm going to go through and show you some of the different slides and types in the PD. So again, as I'm going through this, I can control it on my iPad as well. So on the iPad, it's kind of handy to do. On this slide, as you can see, let me get out of there, down below it says students can draw, so they will be able to type in and label the different parts of the My Plate. So you can have them do that. And then the next slide, actually I thought I had a website. Well, I thought my next slide was a website, but that's okay. You can also put a website if you wanted, if you're like, oh, they're not going to know, choosemyplate.gov. You could turn on the student paste over there, and then they can go back, because the Choose My Plate right here is actually going to give them, if they go back to that website, they can go through and they can find the My Plate and be able to answer the diagram's actually right there. So, next. So this slide, you want students to, and you can see on the bottom, it says students drag the icon. So you'll start seeing students dragging the icon, and I will show you what that looks like in the students, once the students answer. So they'll read through these and they'll pick one. And what you can do when you show the responses is if everyone has chosen Miss Simpson, you can say, okay, hey, can a couple of you move over? So we don't have everyone doing the exact same person. So that gives them some freedom, and then they can choose. So now I go to show responses, and you will see right there that someone has chosen Miss Ortiz, and that was me. And then hide responses, and we'll just go ahead and continue going through. So this is the second choice. So they're going to also choose a resident. Because if you go back to the beginning, they are choosing 2 residents. Okay, so then this is the directions. Okay, so now select the resident you are creating a meal plan for. So on your screen, it looks like nothing. However, on the student's screen, which I will show you, they actually have choices that will show up, and they will be able to put a check mark next to which one. So down here, you can kind of see, every time I go down there to point out, it pops up my bottom screen. So this A, B, C, they actually will be able to choose A, B, C. So that kind of tells you that they will have a selection. So I will show you that in a moment. This is also a time that it would probably be beneficial for you to do student paste, because they might forget who they signed up for. So if it's student paste, they can toggle back to the slide that they chose and then go back. So now I'm going to show responses so you can see, the responses that everyone has put on. And this would, again, be on the screen that students could view, and on your individual, on the teacher dashboard, you will see each individual student and what they chose. So this is another one of the slides that is actually pre-created that you can just pop into your Google Slides, and then you can just change the question up here. So this was something that you could put in if students are like, well, I would really like some more information about my patient, that they can put that in there for you to know. These are just some more slides. Again, these are some of the ones that are already made. What do we know? Create a list of the food restrictions and a list of what type of food your resident can eat. So they can paste an image, or the students can type and it'll show up in here. Additional resources. This is where you can add a website, and I will show you the student view that a website will actually, a link to the website will show up on the right-hand side. And this would be helpful, if you want them to be able to use it as a resource. This is just more adding. So I actually, created this. Like they had the circle, and then I just added some more lines and I put in the text, and then they can do their brainstorming. And then this is where they can write their rationale, and this was just part of the lesson. And so obviously just more where the students can type in their answer. Okay, and then they're going to go through and do the second thing, or the second resident, and it's the same thing. They're just going to go through, answer any questions, additional resources, and then they're going to do their meal plan. What's neat for the students when they're using the TVs in the library at North is that they can post this on the screen, and they can each be adding their dinner meal possibilities, or they could post one of their resources. So they could go to the website that is linked and they can put that on the screen in order to be viewing the resources at the same time as they're putting their information into their slideshow. And then finally, what I did with this lesson was just, what was the most difficult part and how did you work through it and come up with a solution? So that's just a check for, if students had difficulty with anything. And also could be, since we're all kind of new to doing some of these tech tools, it could be, hey, this would have been easier working with a group. So you can obviously put in whatever questions you want, and then you can see the student responses